My daughter.
Don't tell me around. Just tell me anything. All that money is yours. Just help me fish in everything.
Young woman, let me tell you this. The reason why I have stayed in this office for all this long is by not taking bribes. In fact, let me say it in capital. I don't take bribes.
Oh, really? You don't take bribes? Okay, let's see.
Only when was a corruption. Corruption, killing our economy. Corruption is an evil. We need to fight that evil.
You? Sir. Of all? You know what? Let me work on my resignation later.
Respect your request.
If ethically that was wrong, morally so wrong. Corruption is a crime. So go ahead and report if you love Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Well, it's a very good morning. My name is Gyagenda Ssemakula. Welcome to BC TV. On this day, it is the 7th of July in this year, 2021. It's a Wednesday. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us. Now, taking it over from our Good Morning Uganda team and through to Ruben Impima with his sports segment and updates, coming to our GMU Extra. Now, joining us in studio this morning is Mr. Benson Turamye, the Executive Director for PPDA. Here with us on a GMU Extra to talk about issues of procurement at this time of the pandemic and, as we are saying, during the partial lockdown in this country. You're welcome, Mr. Turamye.
Thank you, Mr. Gyagenda, and good morning, viewers.
Very important. How are you managing with COVID-19? It's terrible and bad for all of us.
COVID is really getting to our nerves, especially when you lose the people you know almost every day, the colleagues in workplaces, the relatives, friends. And I think the social media has even worsened it because you will not miss 3 hours without hearing from someone who has passed on. Professionals, professors at Makerere, some of those guys, we know them, spiritual leaders, church leaders. It's really getting us to the nerves.
Okay.
But when we see the trends now turning, hopefully we have reached the peak and now we are moving down. Yeah.
Okay, we'll certainly try to see how to manage it, and thank you so much for having allowed to join us here, and for also keeping safe, because that's the message that we can send out to the people.
Yes.
To ask them to keep safe and to see how they all manage, because we shouldn't just count down the days and wait for 42 days to end with a problem. We need to pray that after 42 days, then we need to have positive results from managing and the response to the problem. Let's get to business and specifically talk about your docket of public procurement and disposal of public assets. PPDA, in this time of the pandemic, Is there a time that PPDA is not essential, that you can also go home, wait for things to come, get better, and come back to work?
First of all, PPDA regulates public procurement, provides advisory services, and also ensures that services are delivered to the citizens of this country, whether there is COVID, whether there is no COVID. The essential sectors that were listed, this is their busiest time, I would say, because they are procuring under emergency situation. They have to deliver as fast as they can. It's not normal that you must follow the whole cycle of procurement process. Therefore, most times, same Minister of Health, they need our advisory services quickly. As much as PPDA was not listed among the essential service providers, but we are working at 10%. Physically, but off-site we are working maybe at 90%. I would say 100%. Of course, there are some challenges working from home, but we have set targets to also people who are working from home to make sure that those targets are delivered within this lockdown.
Mr. Benson, help me understand this, because the Ministry of Health at such a time has already issued a statutory instrument to help them manage and guide the processes in which we are. When you talk about emergency procurements at such a time, because yes, we are in a war situation, we are amidst a pandemic, but yet again, the government is moving on and procurement needs to go on. When we talk about emergency procurements, do you also have a specific law that aids that, a specific statutory instrument to do that, or we can do this and later also again cause illegal suits against you for maybe flouting the processes of PDA?
No, actually the architects of this PPDA law, the parliamentarians in 2003, they made all these good provisions within the law, within the act. Emergency, first of all, like the COVID pandemic, falls within the emergency definitions, because it is an unforeseen. It's a health disaster, so it's an emergency in its definition of the law. Then when we go to the regulations, rules and procedures, rules, methods and procedures, actually Regulation 8 specifically goes ahead to define what you should handle and how you should handle emergency. As much as they say emergency shouldn't exclude competition, you can still achieve competition in a day. If you know Gyagenda is a supplier of sanitizer, Benson is a supplier, you have 10 suppliers of sanitizers, and you want to procure sanitizers, for example, in emergency mode, then you can say submit your quotation. And the closing day is today at 3 o'clock. And then these quotations can be added. Just in another 1 hour, you compare who is giving you the best.
Doesn't that disenfranchise some service providers? Because we're in a pandemic and we're thinking, if Minister of Health wants something specifically and they're doing procurement, and in this emergency situation, like you say, the emergency does not exclude or it doesn't negate the competition. Yes. Doesn't it also disenfranchise those who are not able to show up, to move, and they're not listed amongst the essential emergency providers?
I don't know whether I picked your question clearly. Are you talking about procurements which are outside the emergency
No, Gyagenda is not able now, but I would be able. I'm only thinking I am in a place that I cannot move to come and maybe bid with Mr. Turamye.
Oh, okay.
And won't I feel bad that Mr. Turamye, in this emergency situation, has a way to get into this, but Gyagenda does not have to. But yet again, I would want also to bid and supply.
Yeah, we have actually issued a circular to guide procuring and disposing entities how to handle situations under emergency. And currently, the automation or the online procurement has not taken full effect to all the entities. But the circular allows that now you can even solicit for bids online. So if you put your publication online that you need this particular items, then you have given all the opportunities to all those who are able to participate, and they can even submit the response online. So we have guided or advised the entities now to use that platform of communicating online, and people can submit online. And I believe if you are delivering those essential items, you should be able to get clearance. So the security organs should be able to see that actually you are delivering items.
Mr. Turamye, even with this partial lockdown, we know that government is not operating at optimum. It's not operating at 100%, yes. but at whatever percentage that they are operating. Is there procurement working on now? And if yes, I know it may be emergency procurements. And I would just love to know how you as PPDA are managing the emergency situation, how you are actually going through the emergency procurement bits amidst this pandemic.
Actually, not only emergency procurements, but also we have guided that procurement should proceed. Because you citizens of this country still need you need roads, need health facilities.
We need services.
You need services. And therefore, the 10% workforce that was allowed should be able to facilitate delivery of these services through public procurement. And what that means is that they can still call for bids, they can still advertise for bidding opportunities. That one doesn't need the physical interface. If they are to do pre-bid meeting where bidders are given opportunities to ask questions, to get clarifications, they can still do it. Actually, this time challenges are few. When we started in last year in 2020, it was very difficult. But now we are used to online business. We are used to virtual meetings. We are used to, they can have a pre-bid meeting virtually. People ask questions, they are responded to, then they are communicated, still using, say, online platforms. But also, like in works, we have what we call physical inspection. Because if you are going to do a valley dam or an irrigation scheme, you may need to visit and see the physical features that may help you to prepare a responsive bid. So those site inspections, we are guiding that they can be done observing SOPs. You don't need to call all the bidders to go there at the same time. You can call a few as long as those SOPs as put by Minister of Health are adhered to. When it comes to submitting bids, we are also allowing that these bids can be submitted online and can also be opened using virtual processes. Meaning that if it is a bid opening now, the law says public bid opening for purposes of transparency. So how do you observe this? This procurement officer will be in a room with teleconferencing facilities or Zoom facilities, and all the bidders will be in different places observing what is taking place. The opened bid can be displayed the results shown and recorded. So transparency is adhered to. When it comes to these approvals of sitting of contracts committee and people evaluating, yes, that may need physical, but doesn't need to sit in the same room. Still, they can observe SOPs when they are doing evaluation. And the process is complete after evaluation. The approvals are good from Solicitor General if they are big contracts. And procurement has to proceed and work has to go on. Of course, the biggest challenge is that like construction sites now have slowed down. So there will be delays in delivery, in concluding these contracts. I have a contract at PPDA. We are constructing our offices, home. Yes, our home. And the deployment before that was around 150 workers. Now we have about 60 workers because people can't access these sites and you can't accommodate everybody at the site. And some people are coming from far distances. So there will be some slowness, but work has to go in. But for supplies, they shouldn't have difficulties.
Okay. And did you also the emergency setting here, did it cater for that also? Because we're not talking about variation. Because if a project does not end when it's supposed to end, then it also attracts some other costs. The variation in costs, because if you expect a project that is supposed to end in September, and because of the lockdown, because of mobility, because of the reduction in workforce, then a project might extend up to about maybe February, March, April next year. Are all those things catered for in there that they are ably managed?
Those are provided for legally in contracts.
Okay.
The force,
in framing the contracts,
yeah, framing what we call force majeure, unforeseen circumstances. If they come, I've seen some contractors pushing for contract variations in terms of cost, but we don't support that, because if it is a force majeure, even the government didn't expect this to happen. So you should swallow it. We are both affected. Government is affected, is not getting that service. I want shift in August. I am going to pay rent for another 4 months. That is a cost on the government. So the contractors should also understand the situation we are in, so that they don't push much. We are both, all parties in this contract are affected. So,
okay. Yeah. Are there any specific measures that a PPDA has put in place to cope with the emergency situations of procurement now?
Yes. First of all, we have issued a guideline to guide, to further clarify to entities on how to handle emergency situations. There are circumstances, especially which are in the law, that we must clearly guide. For example, the law says you can't pay advance payment above 30% and without a guarantee. But now, the demand of some of emergency requirements is so high. The demand is more than supply. People are lining up for these items. And they are saying, pay me before I even start production. So we are relaxing on some of those provisions within the law, in form of giving guidance and clearance, so that there is some legal backing against what is inside the PPDA Act. But the good thing, again, the framers of the law put provisions for what you call accreditation. Accreditation meaning that if this law can't facilitate service delivery, can PPDA work with the procuring entity, any specific procuring entity, to come up with an alternative system? and that is what we are using. Alternative system that can facilitate achieving your mandate.
Okay.
Now, under COVID-19, we know the emergency we are in. What are we talking about? We must save life first. So what some entities have failed to do is to come out and say, this law can't be applied in the current circumstances. We think what can be applied is to go through this system. And then we issue an instrument that we call accreditation of an alternative system. But on our own initiative again, especially like Minister of Health, in my opinion, they shouldn't actually complain because we have worked with them. We have, even on that advance payment provisions, we have guided them on how to handle it. On issuance of, say, bidding document, because now, if we are going to bid, if someone is going to bid, you have a bidding document. But under emergency, we are saying use this improvised bidding document. You don't need actually a huge bidding document. Say, my requirements are these, put your costs, they meet the quality standards, they are ISO approved by UNBS, and you get these services. Okay. Where I've seen problems also is lateness. Even masks here, they were buying masks here in Uganda. I saw people failing to deliver even masks when they have contracts in the given stipulated time within the contract.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Turamye. Now, there is also what they call exemptions. We've seen that with the Uganda Revenue Authority, that there are goods that are tax exempted or have tax exemptions. And we know that abuse is one thing that you cannot distance from many of these privileges or many of these windows that we get. And I'm looking at exemptions from procurement. Do you also have them? Like Uganda Revenue has them. Do you also have certain stuff that you exempt people from going through the rigors of PPDA and they just go ahead and buy them and certify them like that and okay them, or you as PPDA do not have any exemptions?
The law again provides for what you call sole sourcing or direct procurement, where I go to Mr. Gyagenda and I procure. But the conditions, and which they have also, which some entities have failed to exploit, is that we know this machine, industrial machine, you are the sole producer. You are the sole manufacturer of this equipment. But then when they put it out, you have these what you call agents everywhere. And they are sourcing from one source. So they start competing amongst themselves. So we are saying, if you know that the manufacturer of this machine is A, the law provides for direct procurement. Put your specifications clearly. This manufacturer meets these specifications, you will supply it. You don't go to this advertising vigorously, but because the moment you advertise, then you are attracting all these agents and they are sourcing from one source. They are also where you have limited suppliers. You know, you have limited suppliers of this particular. So that competition will be within those limited suppliers.
Okay. I'm looking at a situation, I don't know whether the user departments know that they have those, I don't know what you call them, direct procurement or something. Yeah. Let's take an example of a TV station like UBC, for example. What happens now if a transmitter broke down and you can't find spare anywhere in Kampala, but you need to be on air, you need to communicate to the people, but the transmitter in Kololo or Nagulu, wherever, has broken down?
Actually, Again, there are situations which we call emergency. The situation you have described is emergency. It was unforeseen, and you must keep on air. You must deliver, and this air, being on air is your mandate.
Being on air is a mandate.
Is your main mandate.
Yes. But what brings us on air
is the transmitter.
Gone.
Yes.
It has died.
Yeah. So in this situation, if we have, say, 10 service providers who can provide that transmitter known, then you can have them invited and say this transmitter is needed in 1 hour.
We need to go back on air.
Yes. Give me your quotation. They give you a quotation. And of course, your quotation must be, okay, your requirement must be clear in terms of specifications. My specifications are A, B, C, D. Give me your quotation. All these 10 submit their, I meet this specification, this specification, this specification, and my price is $100. Then you pick that who has met your specifications with the lowest price. Then you get it. The most important thing is say, I need it in 1 hour. If I'm not able to provide that within 1 hour, then I don't participate.
You set a condition.
You set a condition.
We need the transmitter before the end of today.
Yes. And they will respond. The other way, though we don't encourage it, is direct procurement. You know that Mr. Gyagenda has the transmitter. It serves my purpose. I know its history. Then you go there. But also, as far as regulatory function, our regulatory function is concerned, the most important thing is what is your justification to go to this particular provider, not to go to this particular provider. Justification.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Turamye, the ED of PPDA, with us on Good Morning Uganda Extra. My name is Gyagenda Ssemakula. So I'll take a short break and return shortly.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Airtel Uganda has the best and most affordable rates when it comes to withdrawing and sending money. Withdraw money for as low as 330 shillings up to a maximum of 12,500 shillings. Sending money is just as affordable as ever. Absolutely unbeatable. Use Airtel Money on the most affordable network with the largest network of Airtel Money branches in Uganda. Dial *185# to get started. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa. If we get vaccinated now, observe social distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly. Together we can defeat this enemy.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back from the break. My name is Gyagenda Ssemakula with Mr. Benson Turamye, the Executive Director of PPDA in studios here. Talk about emergency procurement amidst a pandemic. And of course, it is where we are today. Mr. Benson, happy again to have you. And we continue that conversation. Let's talk about the EGP, the Electronic Government Procurement. And on that portal, I also want to know whose responsibility is it to let the people know that Why am I asking that is I attended the workshop by Coast and their assurance report at Protea Hotel. And one of your staff from the PPDA talked about the electronic government procurement portal, and to my amazement, engineers and consultants, very established, did not know about this, and I wondered how they are actually doing business, and whose mistake or problem is it that those who are supposed to use a service or not the service are actually not using it, and how effective is it?
Let me first of all differentiate between the government procurement portal and the electronic government procurement. The government procurement portal has been running, I think, for the last 5 years or more, the GPP. And this platform provides data or information on the procurement for the country. What we call disclosure. And it is inputted by the procuring entities, ministries, parastatals, local government. Those are the ones who put the data. Which contracts have you signed? Whom have you signed these contracts with? How much are these contracts? And what type of contracts? And where are they? So that you, as a citizens, you can access this portal and say, in Kapiripirit, there is supposed to be so many boreholes. This bridge, the contract was signed with so and so at this amount. This road, the access road was from 8C, is opened at this much. Then you can be able to conceptualize or appreciate government budget expenditures, that this money has been spent on this particular contract. If this road is not done or this facility is not put, then you are able to raise an alarm and say, it is disclosed on this government procurement portal, these contracts, but we don't see anything being done. Government institutions, Auditor General, IG, PPDA are not going to be everywhere. So the purpose of that government procurement portal was really to have this information availed citizens of Uganda, and that's why Coast picked it, so that they can help in monitoring implementation of these government projects. So that is inputting data for purposes of disclosure, and people helping in contract monitoring. Where there is some unfulfilled obligations by the contractors, then you can raise an alarm to the responsible authorities. Again, it is a form of accountability by government entities to the citizens that these projects, the money that has been budgeted for, is being spent through these programs. Now, when EGP now, EGP is being rolled out, it started with 12 pilot entities. It is going to be rolled out in the next 3 years for all government entities. What is going to happen now with EGP, and actually this is also good timely to talk about it, the portal information is going to migrate to EGP.
From GPP?
Yeah, from GPP.
From GPP now to EGP.
To EGP platform. So that we don't have to running.
Exactly, because that was my next question. Yeah. So are we now going to make GPP obsolete and now cross over to EGP?
Yes, that's what is going to happen. Because when you're on EGP, then this data that has been put on GPP
will be loaded there.
Will migrate to EGP, and then going forward, it should be put on EGP, electronic government procurement. But the purpose of electronic government procurement, in addition to this disclosure of information and contracts that the government is implementing, is to facilitate automation of procurement process. And it is also timely, especially under this pandemic, COVID pandemic, because now everything will be done online. When a procurement opportunity arises, it will be advertised on the GPP. We are currently registering all providers.
Okay.
Actually, providers, if you know you want to do business with government, you must register on EGP. So that when an opportunity is posted there, you can get
and you feel you can supply. You feel you can offer the service.
Yeah. You get flagged on and you say there is this opportunity, there is a popping, and when you see this opportunity, it is my area. If it is your area, and you have the
what it takes,
then you participate. That is the advertising, I would say, more or less. Many people have missed opportunities because when we put in New Vision or Monitor, whatever, at times you don't see this paper. But if you are registered on the EGP, on your phone you will always see
a notification.
And that notification gives you an opportunity to open and see whether you can provide these services. Secondly, you don't need to run around. You are based in Kampala, you want to go to Arua. You are based in Nairobi, you want to come to Kampala to bid at KCCA. No, now the bidding document that this entity has issued will come to your computer or phone, whatever, and you can study it and also submit online.
Okay.
We have put safeguards, security safeguards, so that your bid remains encrypted till the time of bid opening. At the time of bid opening, as communicated,
you decrypt it.
That is when it will be unlocked. And the results also are known, and not the results of the award and what will be, but who has participated, like what we usually read out at bid opening. Who has participated, who bidded what, how much, whether someone has put a bid security. So that can also is communicated online at bid opening.
Okay.
And still, the whole process evaluation. I have a trip. I want to go to Kigali, and I am a member of the evaluation committee. I need to be here in office. I can evaluate wherever I am. I can evaluate in my bedroom, and then results are merged.
Okay.
Electronically.
One of the challenges I think that suppliers have had with procurement has been issues of disclosure. And now when you talk about the EGP and disclosure itself, I want to know how it is helping or how it has helped on that disclosure bit of it, and how far we've done with disclosures, especially with the electronic system.
The citizens need to be very, very active and very aggressive. This money that we may not know, actually, some citizens may not know that this money that go into government projects is citizens' money. In a way, you consume sugar, you consume data, this is your taxpayer. You are a taxpayer directly or indirectly. So we should interest ourselves as citizens of this country, of all government projects. Even interest ourselves to government workers, civil servants, and public servants, because the salary you get is from your taxpayer. So if you see someone misusing a government asset, what do you do? Do you look on and say, these are government things? No. If you see someone doing a shoddy work, we have seen contracts that are shoddy, we have seen contracts that are abandoned, and the citizens are looking on. So the disclosure is important, that you can access this information as citizens. Actually, on that government procurement portal, we have worked with NGOs, especially the civil society organizations. They have access rights. They can know all contracts that are being implemented in this country and go and ask for documentation. They have done it in Ntungamo, they have done it in Kitugum, in many areas actually, where they say, now, access to information is your right. If you come to the accounting officer, they are very big, these chief administrative officers, and you say, I need this contract for this health center that is being constructed in this area. You have the right to access that contract and say, this health center was supposed to be 5 units or 100 by 20 feet. It is supposed to be roofed by 28 gauge, but you see someone roofing with a 30 gauge. They were supposed to use cypress timber, but they are using Kaltusi. So you have the right to say, are we getting value? Are we getting value from this? Will this thing last? Because this contract is coming, has gone. He has taken his profit. But you, as the beneficiary
of what they're supplying,
you will be there, your children will be there, your grandchildren will be there. So the disclosure is important, and this disclosure is attained from that government procurement portal. Whoever needs the rights, because we have given these rights to access this information to civil society organizations, but we can give the rights to access this information at any time, because it is online.
Okay.
And you can know if you are interested in your area. I don't know where you come from, your village or whatever, your district.
Salama Mnyonyo.
You are in town guy.
No, that's my village.
So if you are interested in this matching the
Salama Road.
Yeah, that municipality, it is matching the something.
Matching the Savagabo.
Matching the Savagabo. So we can give you all the contracts that are implemented in that area, so that you are able to say, yes, they are supposed to tarmac this road. This road, it is asphalt, not stone pitching. Are they using asphalt?
Okay.
Because that is the way you can appreciate that if the contract is 50 billion and they are using stone pitching, then there is no value for money. And we have had people complain that, no, this road is shoddy. But do you know how much was supposed to be spent on that road?
Which is shoddy?
Which is shoddy. Or they are putting, the contract is for pitching.
What you call it shoddy? What turned out to be shoddy?
Yeah, pot pitching, pot filling. Then you're saying they have taken money on this road. But it was that the value.
Okay.
They were not supposed to put asphalt, but if they were supposed to put asphalt and they are pitching, then you know that money has been stolen.
Our time is running out, Mr. Turamye. Let's end on this particular note. We know that innovations come to save us and to give us advantages. We're looking at advantages in terms of cost effectiveness. We're looking at time, probably. We're looking at reducing on human fatigue. We'll look at quite a number of things. And I want just to know how this has helped us solve many of those problems, including the biggest monster called corruption.
Now, you know, the moment we don't embrace IT, then we are not going to go far. IT is the way to go. In all, I'm not talking about only procurement. Whether it is tax collection, whether it is land registration, whether it is whatever you call, where you think there is corruption, embrace information technology. That is why now I'm looking at electronic public procurement or electronic government procurement as a bullet savior to this country, because one, the speed the procurements are being conducted has been already a headache to almost every person. Recently, I was looking at a procurement which took 1,049 days.
1,049 days.
Those are more than 3 years.
Those are more than 3 years. Mm.
And I was wondering what could have happened exactly. We started
to procure for 3 years.
Yes. Mm. The procurement begins, to reaches somewhere at the end. There is a complaint. The procurement is cancelled. That procurement was cancelled 3 times and repeated. And why? Because those bidders, those who are participating in public procurement, are not trusting the system. They think the system is easily manipulatable. So the electronic government procurement is going to build that confidence, because there is no interface between humans. You'll be away, you'll never even know me. The procuring entity will never know who's bidding, because you can't meet physically. And that is very important in terms of fighting corruption. If you are to pass your corruption through an online system, then the overseers, the regulators, the IG, the anti-corruption agencies will definitely see there is clear evidence. But also, that is the efficiency. I'm looking at EGP to improve the efficiencies, because now you can then deliver timely. We think you can deliver timely. The complaints are going to reduce because bidders have built confidence. And I've seen cases where a bid is opened and takes 5 months before the complete evaluation. Why? Because Mr. Gyagenda was not around. He had traveled on other assignments. When you came back, Benson is not around. So we can't evaluate. But now you can evaluate wherever you'll be on the system. The other, of course, good thing that is coming with EGP are reduced transactional costs, because there has been this manual paperwork. It is very, very costly. And when a bidder is traveling from China to Uganda or from US to Uganda, it is not traveling at his own cost. All those costs are inbuilt. Even the paper, even someone who has printed, who was at the photocopier machine, all that is inbuilt in the contract, in the bid price, and you will pay as government. But again, in terms of government side, also we produce huge documents that we give to the bidders. We sit and want to get allowances when we are doing evaluations. But here, I am doing it online as I'm home.
You don't demand anybody for an allowance?
No, for an allowance. Mm. So the transaction costs are going to reduce tremendously. And we think also, because of increased competition now, because many people will see, because of increased competition, also they will cut themselves.
Okay.
And then we'll get value for money, we'll get good contracts, good priced contracts. People are complaining about inflated government contracts. We think EGP will be a bullet magic for this country.
Your final message to especially procurement officers in just 1 minute, wherever they are, those who are watching us and viewing this broadcast.
Procurement cadre, you are doing a good job.
Okay.
But I want to encourage you to be facilitators of procurement. Don't hinder service delivery. Facilitate, because these are at the center of it. As much as we have accounting officers, we have contracts committee members, we have user departments, but they have other mandates.
Okay.
If I am an engineer in charge of bridges, my focus is on delivering that. How the procedures are followed to deliver that should be provided by the procurement cadre. So I want to urge you as colleagues in the profession to facilitate public procurement so that our citizens can benefit from the services. Procurement is only looked at as a vehicle service delivery.
I very much want to thank you so much, Mr. Benson Turamye, Executive Director of the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Authority. Thank you so much for giving us your time here on GMU Extra this morning, and of course for talking to us about emergency procurement. We thank you so much, and just want to wish you all the best. Our message still to the people is let's keep safe.
Yes.
Let's do what we can do, and try as much as possible to wash our hands, sanitize, put on a mask. For those who are sick, let's also do what we need to do. I think read in the papers this morning for somebody who cut their throat because they tested positive, or because they felt COVID is actually going to kill them, and they decided to commit suicide. There are more recoveries than the deaths that we've recorded or seen. So I think we need to let you know that to contract COVID-19 is not a death sentence. You can get there, get even to a ventilator, get to ICUs and all the things, and recover, because we've seen and had testimonies of people who have recovered. Let's do what we need to do. For God and my country, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Turamye. For God and my country, stay blessed, and good morning.
You're welcome, Mr. Gyagenda.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for keeping hosting me.
Thank you.
I love this.
Thank you very much.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning